big red button right here means we're recording now.
Okay.
So, this is going to be a new series called, I don't know yet, but it's going to be...
Still haven't figured out a name yet.
The exact name, no. I mean, it'll be named by the time this episode comes out. But so recently, because I have not done an update for all the people that listen in a few months. So I moved back to the Valley, and I entered this competition called RGV's Got Talent, which is, a play on America's Got Talent. And it just happened that the week that I moved back was the last night of auditions. So that was wild. That's something that nobody really knows. That night of auditions, I was still living over by Waco. So that morning I drove like 6.5 hours
It's a long
to
way.
get to here to the Valley. And then I had a mariachi gig in Ed Couch,
Wow.
like at 5. And I wasn't going to do it, but he's like, can you come and play? I was like, sure. Okay, so I get home. I just dump everything out of my car. I get changed. I go to Ed Couch. And then that was at 5. The gig ran late. I had to go to Mission. And then I got to the Rockwell, like at 7:30.
That's early.
Yeah, I was so tired. But yeah, I auditioned, and I mean, originally I wasn't in. Neither of us were, right?
Mm-hmm.
Me, you, Juan, and what's her name, Jasmine. I
Oh,
think.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but she decided to not do it, and then 2 people that had already made it decided not to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So then we were all in.
Yay.
And now we're out.
We won, then we lost.
Yes.
We had our moment of glory. It's very short-lived, but whatever.
Yeah, that means all 3 of us that were already out are now out.
That's true. Yeah, they were like, you know what? All 3 of you guys, never mind, go.
Yeah, like you shouldn't have been here the first time.
Yeah.
But so it's this thing called RGV's Got Talent, right? And it's a season-long thing that ends in November. And I plan to have all the contestants that are competing or have competed, eliminated or not. And grand prize $1,500 for the person who wins first place. And well, neither of us are gonna get that prize.
Oh well.
It's okay.
We'll find our way to get it some other way.
Yeah. Whatever money I make on this podcast.
I know, right? All the proceeds will go to all the losers.
Yes. So I'm here with the first guest, and who was actually the first person to be eliminated.
Thank you for your marvelous introduction.
This is Alexa Alvarez. How many names do you have?
How many names? Well, technically 3. I have a middle name, Desiree.
Oh, okay.
So 3 names.
Alexa Desiree Alvarez.
If you go by like the Mexican standard, I'm actually Alexa Desiree Alvarez Courtney.
What?
That's my mom's name.
Oh,
My mom's maiden name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because then they do like I honestly don't know how it goes. Is the mom's name first or the dad's name?
It's the dad's and then the mom's, because like my dad's last name or my dad's name is no, I'm sorry, it's the mom's first. So his is Ernesto Corpus Andaverde, and Corpus is my grandma's last name.
Okay, so then it's Alexa Desiree Courtney Alvarez, which is kind of like weirder, but I mean, if that's the standard, it's the standard, right?
Mom's last name is Courtney.
Yeah, her maiden name.
With that's interesting. Where is she from?
Well, she was born in San Antonio, and then she grew up in Honduras. And her dad's actually white, and her mom is of Mexican descent.
Oh, so you got a lot in you.
Oh, yeah. I have a lot of different stuff. I mean, if I did an ancestry test, I wonder how that would go. Honestly, I'm kind of curious to know. But I know my grandpa's, from what he says, he's Irish and German. So I probably have that somewhere tucked away.
How many languages do you speak?
I speak, 2. English primarily. Spanish, I can actually understand more than I can say. And I always get the conjugations messed up. But I actually sing in 9 languages. And people are like, can you speak those languages? I'm like, no. I just sing in them because by ear.
Do you know what you're saying? Like what the songs say? Most of them.
It's a funny thing because during the competition, there was that one week where we could do whatever we want.
Yeah, that was the
And
first week.
yeah, and they were like, "Oh, you're not gonna be eliminated." And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna show them what I'm worth, you know. And so I was gonna sing something in another language, which is not something everyone can do, right? And so I chose an Italian song, and turns out that I didn't fully know what I was saying. Like I kind of did, kind of didn't. It was just like in the middle. But most of the times when I learn a song, I'll look at the lyrics in English. But it doesn't always mean that I'm going to fully understand what it means, because then some of the stuff can be like for example, Duleman, right? That means seaweed. So it's literally a song about seaweed. And I'm just like, okay, but what's the significance? Like, is there any significance in English? You know, like when you say a Spanish joke, for example, and then you try to like convert it into English, and it's just like, that's not a joke anymore. You know, it doesn't sound as good as it does in Spanish.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that.
That's funny because so for week 1, although you weren't going to get eliminated, you were supposed to sing something that represents who you are.
Yeah.
So you're seaweed.
I didn't really see it that way. Maybe I just didn't read the directions. It's
Yeah,
just
it was
more
kind of vague, but.
Yeah, it was just showcasing
And also,
my voice.
so the other thing that I don't like, we were not originally in the show, right? So a lot of the prior instructions and stuff we don't know.
Right.
And even till now, I got eliminated. So did you. I still, I never had that one-on-one talk explaining the rules and how everything's going. So we were kind of just thrown in there, like 4
Head
days
first.
before the first week. And I'm like, all right. And there was no explanation to anything. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't really your fault.
It wasn't yours either. It's just the organization of the show was a little bit off-put, so we just kind of had to dive in there head first and just see what we could do.
Yeah, and it was fun. So how did you hear about the show?
One of my friends, she knows I love to sing. She's heard me sing before, and actually 2 of my friends told me about it, but the one that told me first convinced me to go. And then the second one, she's like, "Oh, are you going to do that? It's next Sunday." I'm like, "Oh, I already auditioned." So, yeah, there's like a lot of people that know I love to sing, that know I'm a music minor and everything. So they thought it would be a cool competition I could do to maybe win some cash.
Were you always into music?
Yes, I've always been into music ever since I was little. My family is very musical. My mom plays the piano. My brother played the violin for the first part of his life, and then he decided that he didn't want to do that, and he wanted to do guitar. And so he plays guitar. My dad plays guitar and trumpet. And I think my sister likes to sing. I've never really asked her.
Do you play an instrument?
I play piano by ear mostly, but I'm actually learning to sight read better than before. Like I can sight read, but to a point. And I feel like I can always get better at that.
Yeah. So were you in like choir in high school?
I'm actually currently in choir as
You're in
well.
choir.
I'm a soprano one. Oh, and I forgot to mention that I do play a little bit of ukulele and a little bit of recorder.
So why didn't you do music then, like study?
At first, because I actually graduated homeschooler. If you know anything about my journey, it's just like crazy. And so going into...
I've met some homeschool kids before.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
And were they like...
Oh my god.
Oh my god, the first thing comes out of his mouth.
They're different.
Yeah, they're a different breed, really.
And the one I met, his mom was Japanese.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
That homeschooled. So it very different customs. But his dad was white. It was like a military thing.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. But yeah, coming out of homeschooling, I didn't apply for scholarships. I just kind of went into college not really knowing what I wanted to do. At first, I started wanting to be a nurse because I was like, you know what? Which job do I like? My mom's or my dad's? I'm like, oh, I like nursing. I like the scrubs and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, I'm going to try that, you know? Then I realized really fast that it wasn't for me. And then that's when I'm like, you know what? I want to be a teacher. And what subject do I like? English. And so I went for that. And then I didn't know what a minor was, but some of my friends had it. And I was like, I was always curious, but I guess I just never asked what a minor was or looked into it. It wasn't like on the forefront of my mind until like maybe the last semesters, like when I was like a junior, I think, junior. And then I talked with my advisor about it, and then he was like, oh, well, you can claim a minor. And I was like, okay, like I was looking through them. And then I was like, oh, I like music. And then he was like, oh, well, you have to audition for that one. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, I had the idea that, you know what, if music is for me, then I'm going to put in my audition, and then that'll happen by fate. You know what I mean? But if not, then it was never for me. And turns out I put in my audition, it worked. I got in. And so here I am learning about everything to do with music, notes, everything like that. Theory, sight singing, ear training, piano.
So you auditioned with your main instrument being voice?
Yes. Yes, my main instrument was voice. Because I don't think I'm as good enough with piano to audition with that. Because, like, that's extremely competitive since, I mean, a lot of people know about notes and took that in high school and everything. I always felt like my voice was the one thing that set me aside.
Mm-hmm. So what was what exactly is like your minor? How many hours is that?
I believe it's 19, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to look at it again, but I believe it was 19 hours. The way that music is, it's actually kind of weird because some of the classes are only like 1 credit, and you have to have like 12 credits per semester to be counted on like your financial aid or whatever, like all of your financial aid. So I had to be a full-time student, like considered full-time, but then that means that I'm taking a ton of classes for like 1 semester, which actually puts me into like another problem because this next semester I'm not going to have as many credits for my classes. I might have to take up another minor. That's what my advisor is saying, that I could probably do that, but I don't know what else I want to minor in because it's just like extra, you know?
Wait, so you're not going to have enough classes?
No, not enough.
How far are you in your degree? Yeah.
I'm considered a senior, and I have, I think, okay, so 6 credits and then 9 credits, so whatever that adds up to. I'm not a big math person. My dad's a math teacher, but that's the irony here. Not a great at math, but the fact is that when you take your student teaching, which is a 6 credit hours, then you can't do any of the other classes because then you're going there 7 days a week, and you have to focus on that. So that's the reason why I have had to do, like, graduate in the fall rather than in the spring.
So are you doing student teaching already?
No, that's this next fall.
Oh, the next fall coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you're close. You started with 2017?
2018. I believe it's January 2018. Because I took a semester off before I decided, you know what, I'll go to college. Because everyone was telling me, like, you should go to college and all this stuff. And I was like, do I really want to do that? Put myself in more classes? I just graduated. You know, you get that little, like, hype after you're graduated because you're like, oh, I'm finally done. Oh, never mind. I'm back in, you know?
Yeah.
So I just wanted a break. I wanted a breather, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to go in this semester. I'm going to wait till next semester, which is, looking back, it was like a mistake because I could have just done it, you know?
Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it's not that bad. I could just, well, at least I stayed. At least I haven't taken a break.
Oh, that's good. Next is your master's, right?
Maybe. I don't want to look at that because then I'm going to graduate. I'm like, oh, I have my bachelor's, and then it's going to be like 2017 all over again. Like, oh, like do I really want to go back and do more homework, harder homework? Like, really?
Just do it. I don't know. I'm in my master's now, and it's not as bad because well, if you choose a master's that you're interested in,
Mm-hmm.
it's actually easier. The
Mm-hmm.
subjects will be harder, but if you're already familiar with it, it's not as bad, and you don't have to worry about all those like core classes and
Yeah,
that
those
stuff.
are a hassle. I really didn't like the math class.
You're not good at math, are you?
No.
Like you're still thinking about 9 plus 6s.
Wait, it's 15.
Hey, you got it.
I got it.
That's
Yeah.
that's good for you.
Basic math.
What at you do teach English, but like for high school or middle school or
For high school. And here's the reason why. Because I wanted to do middle school. I feel more comfortable with the idea of middle school because, I mean, I still look like a high schooler. And I don't know. It's just, it's different. It's so much different. And I talked to my advisor, and he was telling me that if you do middle school, because there's no such thing as all levels for English. So if I do just middle school, then I'd have to learn all the subjects, and math is included. And so we all know that I'm not that big of a math person to want to do that.
They start doing algebra in middle school.
Is that true?
Yes.
What?
Well, at least I did. That I took advanced math. So
Like, did you go to a STEM campus or something?
no, I was just always like advanced in math. So there were certain times where, or there was like one class per grade that would teach the grade above. So like as a 8th grader, I was taking 9th grade math.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because in 9th grade, I ended up taking geometry instead of algebra 2. I don't remember how that happened, but I did skip algebra 2.
So you never took algebra 2?
I don't think so. Because my dad was teaching me algebra 1 outside of it, and then so it was a homeschooled class, so it did count. So because they had to like place me when I went to school, because I was homeschooled up to 9th grade. 9th grade, I went to Cano Gonzalez Elementary when I was with Chris.
Okay.
Like, that's where I met him. And after that, I went to a private school. I was really mad. I remember being super mad because I wanted to go where all my friends were going. But I didn't end up going there until the next year because, I mean, like, a lot of drama happened with that school.
At the private school?
Yeah, with the private school. It used to be in Wesco, but it actually closed down a year after I went. So just a lot of stuff. I mean.
So did you ever go to public school?
I did, yeah. Cano Freshman Academy in Harlingen was a freshman academy. It was a public school.
What is it? What is that? Like just a school, but it just happens to be its own.
Yeah, it was its own campus. It's like they send all of their, like after 8th grade, then they send all of their kids there. So it's like a mixture of like South kids and North kids, and all their freshmen go there, and then they disperse to their district. And I actually went the first year that it opened.
Oh, okay. So then you didn't go to Harlingen High or Harlingen South?
I did go to Harlingen South, but that's after the private school, because you know how like there's 4 years. The freshman year, I went to that Cano Freshman Academy. Then the second year, I went to the sophomore year, went to the private school. Then the junior year, I went to South, Harlingen South. And then to top it all off, I was homeschooled at the end as a senior.
Why?
With 5 other, wait, was it 1, 2, 3, 4? I was one of 5 that graduated there at that homeschooling. Because then I did my classes online, and then they did their own classes. We were in the same class, like not technically in the same like house or whatever, but
same school.
Yeah, that's how homeschooling works. It's so interesting because like you can do so many different things with it, as long as you meet the standards. So you have to know, like, you have to do your cores. So like English, math, that sort of stuff. So I did my math class with my dad. He's a certified teacher, right? And then he made it so interactive. It was so much fun. And then I did my English online. My mom made me take a personal finance class. It was an interesting class. I felt like I had to do a lot more writing than understanding what personal finance is. Then I did English and I think science as well, if I'm not mistaken. It's a long time ago, so I can't really remember 100% about that.
Did you ever fail?
Did I ever fail, like a
Like,
homeschooling
yeah.
class? No. But it's because I've always been like a driven learner. So like I've always had a drive, and I feel like my dad is the one that lit a fire under my butt, because he promised me my freshman year that if I got all A's, that he would take me to Paris. And that's why I was like, you know, as a 13-year-old, was it 13, 14? Something like that. Yeah. That's a big thing. You're like, oh, Paris, you know, I want to go there. And so, of course, I'm like, forget making friends. I mean, I did make friends, right? But, like, forget hanging out with friends. I need to make sure my grades are good, that sort of thing. And so I kind of acquired that drive. And I always felt guilty, like, if I missed something. And so I always made sure that everything was turned in on time and all that stuff. And I've just been driven ever since my dad.
How do things keep are being tracked when you do like homeschooling?
When you do homeschooling, it really depends on the program that you're in, because some of the times they'll have like a program you can go to, like physically. There is this one called Harlingen Homeschooling Academy, where you just go to this place. It's at a church, and so they use those classrooms. And
It kind of defeat the purpose of homeschool.
I know, you would think, right? It's a lot shorter. It's kind of like college classes. It's really interesting because it's like 2 hours, right? They have the teachers come in, and instead of you going somewhere to their classroom. And so like for example, I had a earth science teacher, and then I had geography afterwards. And so the earth science teacher would come in, she would take her things after class, and then the geography teacher would come in, and we'd just kind of stay there. And we'd leave for lunch. Like, we'd leave at 12, and we wouldn't have to come back after that. But it was so cool. It was super interactive, especially my geography class. She made it because, I mean, she knows all her moms and everything, right? She's a mom herself. What she did is, for example, we were learning about different countries, and she would bring food from those countries. And she'd be like, oh, try this, try that. This is from Japan. This is from Germany. This is from Russia. She showed us borscht. That was pretty cool. And pancakes. We made pancakes and jamaica from the flour. Like, she showed us how to do it. I thought that was super cool.
Wow. So then you did do homeschooling, and you went to academy, public school, private school. What was the best?
Private school. The one I went to, I know this is so weird to hear, but like the private school I went to, I love the atmosphere. It was like nature-esque, and it had an orange grove. It had, this is probably not how you remember the idea of private school, but I mean, the private school I went to was really good. And they had something called Music Fest, and you were either required to be in bands or choir. So, of course, I chose choir. And so we went to Music Fest in Dallas, and it's like this end-of-year trip that they would always take. And we sang with at least, I think, 15 other choirs from around the state of Texas. And it was so cool, such an experience. Like, it was this old place with a bunch of rich people. You can tell, like, the cars outside were really nice, you know. And then it had an organ where a window should be. It was, like, up there. And then you could hear it kind of resounding, like, around all of the room. And it was super cool. And I'll never forget that experience. And it's just, we also had a field trip with my world history class. Was it world history? I think it was Texas history, if I'm not mistaken, because then it was like a year later. And then he took us all over the Capitol and everything with a bus. It was really cool.
Wow. You lived an interesting life. Right?
Oh yeah, so many different experiences. Like, I don't know if you've been on TikTok and everything, and sometimes I'll like to look at things maybe I wouldn't remember, because then it would be like, oh, these memories that that you forgot or whatever.
Yeah.
Because like during what was it, PE?
Mhm.
During PE, you know, when they had like that colorful, like, what's it called, like a sheet almost.
Like
It had like those colors, like the triangles. I'm trying to explain it. I don't
is
know
it
what
a
it's
sheet?
called.
Is it like where everybody would get in a circle and lift it in the air?
Yes, parachute, right?
Yeah, I'd be like
Something like that, right?
Yeah.
We did that, like vividly. I remember that.
You did that where? And
We did it at the homeschooling group.
oh,
It was that church that I just described. They have like a gym, and so we would do that there. And I think the best part was that you can mix with, like, if you had a younger brother and everything, you can mix with them, and you could be in the same class. And they had co-ops every spring and fall, kind of like the idea of college, if you really think about it.
yeah. Yeah. So you're saying everybody should be homeschooled?
No, it's not for everybody, because like I feel like there are people who would strive in this program, and some people that would like the idea of socializing more. And yeah, we do have socializing events and everything, but at the same time, it's not as social as like being in school. And some people really like being in school. Like my sister liked being in school. I begged my parents to put me in school just so I could have the experience, because then everyone else is like, oh, why don't you go to school? And I took swimming classes then, so those people, when they found out I was homeschooled, that's why they were asking me like, hey, like, why aren't you in school? Like, what is so great about homeschooling? Everyone would ask me that question.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's an interesting concept, but I mean, I guess it was a lot more common before. I mean, I'm talking about many, many, many years ago.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Before there was, I guess, schools, and now it's just such a strange thing, basically, when you meet somebody that's homeschooled, you're like, wow.
Not only that, do you know how to write in cursive?
Yeah.
There are so many kids nowadays that don't know how to do that. And I was flabbergasted, honestly, because I have observations every Friday, and we ended up talking about cursive writing, right? And I was like, oh, I've noticed that you write in manuscripts. And he was like, oh yeah, because like these guys don't know any cursive. I was like, wow, like that's like a dead language, I guess.
It's
just like Latin.
Yeah, and even after, I mean, I'm 2 years older than you. How old are you now? 23?
23.
Yeah, I'm 25. And usually I've found that most people will learn cursive in like third grade is when it's taught. And even, honestly, at that time, they didn't teach us cursive. I just kind of learned it on my own.
Same. I learned it by a book that I found in the bookshelf because I was such a bookworm. I would go to the library and take upwards of 10 books for me a week, and I'd finish all of them, like totally devoured them, and then just brought them back. I always love books.
Do you have like a big collection in your room then?
Not a big collection. I'm not as much of a bookworm as I was when I was little. And the reason for that is because of school. It's kind of like drained me from like loving books, you know, because we have to have books now. And it's just like, like I want something I can enjoy, but then I can't enjoy because then I have to read my textbook. And honestly, I always thought textbooks were like too much. It's like too much to lecture sort of thing. Like, just give me the actual information. Give me the Spark Notes or whatever. Just give me what I need, you know?
Yeah. But it's not the way college works.
I know. Unfortunately, that's not how college works.
Master's is even crazier because if you don't read the textbook, you're going to fail. And not only do you have to read the text, there is questions on a quiz one time for, and I'm doing engineering, but even then you still have to read a lot. He asked a question on a quiz about an author that was mentioned in the appendix. And
No way.
I was like, and not just about the author, but works from that author that were mentioned in the appendix of the chapter.
Is this your villain story? Because like after that, you're like, I give up on life.
How are we supposed to know this answer? He's like, well, the author was mentioned in this sentence at the house. But the
I would've
actual
cried.
work.
I would have
was
low
not-
key just cried in my room on my pillow because that is terrible.
It
Like
is,
you're
yeah.
reading everything, but then all of a sudden the quiz asks you the most basic things that you just happen to miss.
Yeah, it's fun. You get ready for that.
For what?
For your master's.
I'm getting ready to graduate. Okay.
What do you want to? Do you want to stay in the valley?
I'm open to other ideas, but the valley always has a way of like sucking you in if you're being honest, because like so much of my family is here, even though I have family scattered like all over the United States and everything. But really, because I actually went to London and Paris this summer, right? And I really got to see of how much of the world I'm missing out on just by being here. And it sucks, but at the same time, you can always visit those places. Like, you don't have to, like, stay there to enjoy it, you know? But at the same time, like, I still love the valley, but I would be open if there was any opportunities elsewhere. Like, I think about it, at least, you know?
Yeah.
How about you?
Well, I mean, I left after high school. Right, lived in
But you came
Austin
back.
for 6 years.
You came back,
So the reason I came back is not because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna come live here again. It's so I moved last year.
Mm-hmm.
I graduated spring 21 with a degree from Texas State, and then I did come back to the valley for a couple months after that. I was just looking for a job.
Mm-hmm.
Then I found a job over by Waco,
Mm-hmm.
and I moved in October of last year. And I was there for something like 8 months or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I started my master's during that time, but I was doing it remotely, the school. But this semester I decided to focus on my thesis and come back on campus in person.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was going to leave in January back over there. But
Told you,
that's
it
not
sucks
going
you
to
in.
happen.
It sucks
I
you
mean,
in.
it wasn't my
keeps you
choice.
there.
But yeah, it wasn't my choice. But even then, I mean, yeah, for some reason, just keep coming back.
Yeah, I mean it's home. It's home. I've always missed the island. There's like nowhere that I've been to as of yet that reminds me of the island, like not even remotely. When I went to London, we went to the beach, but guess what the beach was? Bunch of rocks.
It was rocks, yeah.
Rocks, and the ocean was pretty, but rocks still, and no sand castles anywhere. So, and the salty air is much more prominent at the island.
The salty air. You like the salt?
air.
Taste
I
of salt
do
in your
like
mouth?
the salty air. It does something to my hair. It makes me like beautiful. Makes me feel like a mermaid.
That
You know
was
what I mean?
about to say mermaid. Like, do you, oh, well, I mean, you swim, right? You said you took,
I do.
you took lessons, or you're in the swim team, or?
I took lessons in, I think it was 6th grade, if I'm not mistaken. I was still homeschooled at that time. Yes, I took lessons, and I learned how to swim. I mean, I learned how to swim before that because my parents are go-getters.
So
And
they threw you in the pool when you were like
they
one?
didn't throw me in the pool. But fortunately, I wanted to learn how to swim.
Oh.
But they're go-getters, as in, like, they kept convincing me, like, oh, come on, like, just hold the side of the pool and start kicking.
Mhm.
And so that's exactly what I did. And then I was like, I want to race you guys. And they're like, okay, we have to learn how to swim first. And so I learned how to swim, and it just went from there.
And now you're a champion swimmer.
I wish.
Did you do sports?
Yes, I did basketball for a time, but then I got an injury, and then I was I don't know what you call it. I would help with the laundry. I forgot they called them
What?
manager or something
Or
like that.
equipment manager?
Yeah, well, because that period
Uh-huh.
I was supposed to spend in basketball, but I couldn't be on the team at that point because I had missed too many of the practices. And so I just kind of had to help with help do the chores and stuff.
So you were good?
It was okay. I mean, I wasn't the best, but I wasn't the worst either. And I do know how to shoot baskets. And then actually for college, my first year of college at STC, I was on an all-boys football team, a flag football team. And so, yeah, I really like flag football, but every single time we would lose. So, I mean, it's just bad coordinating. So, yeah.
So, what was the first song? What was the song you sang for auditions?
Oh, man, which one was it? I can't remember. Oh, yes, I remember. It was Bohemian Rhapsody. But I think it was one of the judges that had given me a recording that was just a good recording to use for the performance. And that one had 0 of the notes that I wanted. Like, it didn't have any of, like, the high pitches or anything like that. Just kind of stops you at, like, the second verse.
Oh, okay.
So I was very disappointed.
So did they scout you out first, or how did they?
So, wait, what do you mean by scout?
Like, did any of the judges reach out to you before the audition or for the audition?
No, actually, I texted the judge and I was like, oh, thank you for the opportunity. I said I didn't get in or whatever. And he was like, no, like, the judges want you to come and do it again or something like that because you and some other people are going to be, like, fighting for a spot. And then that's when I was like,
Oh, yeah, you
okay.
did Bohemian Rhapsody. That was for week 1, right?
That was for the audition.
Or what did you sing for Rock Week? That was week 2.
Oh, that one was Real Gone by Sheryl Crow.
Oh, okay.
It was a song from Cars. Because, I'm not too big of a rock person. I mean, I love Bohemian
I remember
Rhapsody.
you saying that it was from Cars.
Yeah, it's from Cars. I'm not too big of a rock person. So then I was like, oh, my God, like, what do I do? Because I'm kind of stuck. It's Rock Week, right?
Yeah.
And then that's when I figured out that Bohemian Rhapsody was rock. And I'm like, man, I used that song already. Like, I can't redo it, And because they only give you 2 minutes, which I don't understand. Like, why do they give you 2 minutes? Most songs are like 3 to 4 minutes.
Yeah, as the weeks went on, they started basically just letting you sing the whole song.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So now they do, but
you had to just make it those weeks.
yeah, it was tough at the beginning. This 18, and it felt pretty pretty real after the second week when you got eliminated. Like, oh, they're actually eliminated.
I know that was a major blow, honestly, to my pride and everything. Like the next day, I was crying the whole night. I couldn't like bring myself to reality or whatever because I had never lost something.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone would tell me like, oh, you have a good voice and all this stuff, and it was just I hadn't experienced that yet, and so it was really hard for me. And then just to know that I have to go to choir, have to face Aldo, and he had won that week too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he did. Bon Jovi.
It was really hard for me. Just facing him and his girlfriend and everything, because she was there and she was like, you got this. And I was like, no, I don't. And no, I was really quiet during choir. I mean, I still sang and everything, but I just wasn't feeling it that day. And then every week, our choir director, he'd be like, if no one else tells you they love you, know that I do. And I was bawling when he said that, because I was like, I'm in such a bad spot right now, and I talked to one of the altos, and she's my friend. She's so nice. And then she's like, how are you doing? Like, you look really sad. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing good. And I was, like, crying in front of her. And then she's like, what? Why? What happened? I was like, well, I got eliminated. I explained to her the whole situation and everything. And she's like, oh, I hope you feel better. And I was like, I hope I feel better, too. Because, like, that whole week I felt, like, just down, just, like, sobbing over everything. I couldn't go into Rockwell without feeling weird. I couldn't listen to that song at all that I had lost with. And I just kept judging myself like so harshly. It was so bad. And I started to resent the other person that I lost to. And I've just noticed, because I've never really resented people to that degree, you know. But I felt myself resenting her. And, like, in a way I felt bad about it, but in a way, like, I felt like she was putting it in my face. So, of course, that wouldn't make anyone feel good. Like, even if that wasn't her intention, that's what I felt. I mean, when you're in a really vulnerable state, you just feel like the world's against you. So for me, that's how it felt. And I was crying to my parents. I was just crying to everyone just because I was just so vulnerable. I've never been that bad before. And it's weird because, like, I had a talk with myself, and I don't know if it's, like, this whole inner child thing, but that child, if she exists, she was just terribly hurt, like, really bad. And I've just never been in that state before. And it was hard even getting up on that stage, honestly. Like, in the beginning, I would always push myself. And I thought 100 times about taking shots before going up, but I never did it. I always went sober, right? And I'm just like, man, like, I'm here. Like, it was just so nerve-wracking just being up there, looking down at the judges and all the people, their eyes on you and everything. You can really literally feel their eyes. And since I had a minor in music, I always had problems with going up in front of people and singing, because it's so much easier when you're in your shower, when you're in your house or in your car, rather than doing it in front of people. And my teacher will say something. I mean, she said something that I'll never forget. She said that, oh, just don't look at the people. Just be in La La Land. And so that's what I did the second time. The first time I tried looking people in their eyes, but then it got too much for me because, like, too intense. And so, like, I started looking away, and I don't know if that came off, like, as nervousness or whatever, but I was, like, freaking out on the inside, but I think I was more nervous because I was looking people in their eyes and stuff. And so I just found myself wanting to move around and not really focus on one area, and it just made everything worse. It made everything worse because, like, I get clammy hands, and then my heart starts beating real fast. And so I'm always afraid of, like, my voice messing up somehow. I'm always trying to, like, over-control it. And so, like, I know how to sing. That's not the problem. It's just, like, I over-control, and then I get in this, like, panic state where it's really hard for me to come off of it. And it's weird because, like, it all starts when they say my name, like the panic state. And then once that's over, I just feel it, like, wash off of me. And that's kind of what happened. Like, when I broke down, I was not expecting to do that. It was just because I don't cry on demand. I don't cry on demand. It was extremely hard for me just being up on that stage, and then realizing that I got off beat because I just got so scared. And I had asked the judge, I was like, is there any way you can put the lyrics up there? Or if you can look at the lyrics? And he's like, no, you can't, because you've had a lot of time to practice this. And I felt so bad because I was like, if I had the lyrics up there, I would have so, like, crushed it, you know? Or if I even looked at you guys, because you guys were singing it.
Yeah, I was singing it right on the side. I was like, look at me. You
guys were singing it. But the thing is that I had learned from the first time not to look at people because then it gets too intense. I didn't even see you guys singing. I saw it out of the corner of my eye, but I wasn't trying not to pay attention to it because it was just too intense.
Yeah.
And so if I literally just looked at you guys, I wouldn't have made the mistake that I did. And I would have been able to do it and keep on tempo, because rhythm has been a problem with me. When I lose it, I really lose it. Mm-hmm. And then I have to listen to the song again with the actual singer to, like, regain it, like, reconquer it. And so I've always had, like, a problem with that. I was like, you know what? If Natalie can do it, I can do it too. Like, that's what I told myself. I'm like, well, what the hell? Like, literally, I said that. I was like, what the hell? Just do it, right? I pushed myself on that stage, and then when I failed, I kind of just wanted to get out. I wanted to get out. I already knew I lost. Actually, I already knew that I lost right when they announced the bottom two, and I told them, guys, I'm gonna be on the bottom two. Just look at the comments that Mirka had, and she was like, oh, well, you look, I think she said you look confused or something, like you weren't paying attention or whatever. And so that's why I knew, like, all of them were so good, like all the performances, and then here comes me with not such a good performance or really not good vocals, I guess. I mean, like, because rock is not my flavor, right? So I'm more of an opera person, more of the person that likes going like really high on notes. And I mean, everyone has their genre, right? But for me, rock has never been something I've done out of will. Bohemian Rhapsody just happens to be one of those songs that I really like. But other than that, I don't really sing rock music. And that's why it really bothered me getting up on there and just pretending to be something I'm not. It's just like a fish out of water sort of experience. And it's just, it was nerve-wracking. And it made me feel good when you guys went to go hug me and everything. Like, I appreciated that, but at the same time, I was just so far broken that I couldn't fully appreciate it, I guess. Because it's like encountering, what's it called? Like a emotion you've never encountered before. Because my whole existence, 23 years, never encountered something like that in my life. And so it was really hard for me to go through that. Like, I know that's the first time or whatever, and then everyone tried to make me feel better. But I started to feel like, well, you guys are still in the competition, and that's when I started to feel like mad, sad, like sadness turned to anger, that sort of thing. And I just couldn't face it again. I couldn't come into Rockwell and cheer you guys on and stuff. And I just felt so bad because of it. But at the same time, I was just like, well, that's a place that I lost. And it'll forever be remembered as a place that I lost at, you know? Like, because to me, there's, like, no comebacks there. Maybe sometime in the future I'll think differently, but from this point, I'm just like, this is a place where I lost. And it's just a little, not traumatizing, I don't think, anymore, but it felt like it was at the very beginning just because I was encountering something new. But I'm just glad that I was able to pick myself up after that, because that was just really hard for me. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I really, appreciate you saying that and all what you felt and what you went through during that time. Mm-hmm. But I do really have to, was really impressed and commend you on the fact that how you said, you're like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. Mm-hmm. You went up that stage, you're like, you knew you didn't know the song or you didn't know the words, and you're like, I'm still going to do it. You follow through to the end. And some people did not do that. Some people decided to just either quit or just be like, I concede. But you actually just still follow through with it.
It was kind of funny. Like, just looking back, I don't think I would have thought it was funny in the moment, but the way the judges talked afterwards, they're like, oh, if you just kept mumbling and everything, then you would have gotten a better score, or you would have won, or something like that. Or if you looked at the people, it made me feel so bad because, like, at first I had gotten some of the words, and then after that, it was just like, trying to, like, remember it. It was like the beat, just keep with the beat. And then I lost the beat, and then that's when I lost myself. And I stopped mumbling because I'm like, I don't know the words. And I usually prepare a song that I can sing, right? I don't usually do a song that I don't feel confident with. And so that was the first time really getting out of my comfort zone and being like, okay, I don't know this song, but I'm still going to sing it, because I've never done that. That's why I don't like going to, like, places where they have a band playing, because most of the time the songs, I don't know them.
Yeah.
I mean, like for karaoke and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I mean, so I mean, going through all of that, do you feel, I don't know, better, like as a performer, as a singer? You feel you learned a lot?
I don't feel like I learned anything,
No.
honestly. No, I think it was an experience, right? Some of the comments were helpful. When she talked about my posture,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't feel like I share their same sentiments when it came to my performance. I feel like I was nervous. That is something I could definitely like fix and work with, but I do not feel like, just looking back at the recording, I don't feel like I was as confused as they say I looked. And so some of the comments were taken, and other ones it was just I don't feel the same way they do about my performance, because I did really put myself out there. I did really do my best. And I think that's what everyone was going there to do. Everyone was giving their best shot.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was hard for everyone just to get on that stage and everything. But everyone would do that. Everyone would get on the stage. Everyone would give their best performance. Everyone would try to be what the judges wanted them to be. And I feel like that's wrong. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like they should always be who they are and let that part shine. Just like the idea, I know this is like a bad metaphor, but makeup shouldn't be who you are. It should like accentuate your features. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be in excess. I feel like everyone was just being who the judges wanted them to be. And I mean, just looking back, I could have done so much more, but I don't feel like it was a time for me. I think that the reason why I was eliminated was just because somebody was looking out for me. That's a weird way of looking at it, but it's like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, you have like a lot of crap to do at home. Like you have a lot of homework. Like you don't have time for this. It's like pointless. I mean, at the end, there's only one winner, you know?
Yeah.
So like, what makes you think that, like, even if I wasn't eliminated that week, with the way the competition's going now, anybody could be eliminated. Anybody, you know?
Yeah.
And then that would have just been a waste of my time and my gas and everything, you know? But I really think that everyone should always love what they do and not make it like a chore. That's my biggest qualm about this whole thing. I thought it was going to be like a singing competition because, I mean, like you said, we weren't given the rules or anything like that. And so I thought it was like a good singing competition where we can actually pick songs that we like and showcase them and like, oh, maybe this song's better than that song, or maybe that sort of thing. Not, oh, you have to learn the song that you don't even know, doesn't even match your voice or anything. And because people, they get the advantage because maybe that's their thing, you know? And so you're not really able to show them what you're made of. And it's just premature loss, you know? But for what reason, really? Like, what reason were we there? If you
Mm-hmm.
really think about it, it's just, I just don't want to be a show, not just a show. I want to be something way more than that. I want to love what I do. I want the musicality to be more important than I feel that it was.
Yeah. And I mean, this is part of the reason I want to do this series, the show, just so that, you know, the contestants can really, people can know more about them instead of just 2 minutes on stage.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that you did really well that
Thank you.
in that show. And personally, I don't think you should have been bottom two. But I mean, everybody has their judges made their decision.
Yeah, they made their decision. I mean, we have to accept that and, yeah, respect that. But I think it was just a premature loss. I could have done so much more. But everything happens for a reason, right? Maybe this wasn't for you, or maybe this wasn't for me either, you know?
Yeah.
And at the time, I was actually in this, not a competition. It was more like I'm trying to get out there for acting and singing as well. And I didn't get a call back that week either. So it was like, it wasn't a big blow because that one I was just kind of like slowly letting go of because it's just too much. And I had to do that with my lessons that I'm taking now, like in class and everything. Just had a lot on my plate. And that's the main reason why I couldn't just sit down all day and learn that song that we had to do for the bottom two.
Yeah.
I did know some of it, just not all of it. And I just lost it. It was just the experience. But in a way, I'm sort of glad for the experience just because I never knew I had those emotions. You know, it just brought something very, constructive out of me because, like, if you never lose, then you're always going to expect to win, right? And then what is life, you know? Because you don't always, like, when you look at real life, you don't always win everything.
No, yeah. Yeah, it's important to feel everything, I guess, at certain points in your life. Yeah, like I got eliminated, and it sucked, but man, I am so busy with the research and the masters and things like that where I honestly just didn't have time for it either. So, I mean, it was fine. I went and did a show, which never really did before because I would always be in the background, right? Just playing the bass or guitar or whatever in the show, in the group. Sometimes I would sing a song, but it was never just me being the performer. So, I mean, that is something that was nice about this. It gave you a chance to be in the spotlight, to do what you want.
It gave you a shot to try something out and see if it's for you.
Yeah. But, I mean, you have a good, you said you have perfect pitch.
Yeah, because of my mom, she has perfect pitch. And I guess she gave it to me. I was actually told when I was 9, when I first started taking piano lessons, I have perfect pitch. And she did a perfect pitch test. I'm guessing those are accurate.
Well, yeah. You still have it now?
I think so.
You want to test it?
Sure.
Let's test it. Or do you have do you have the ukulele?
Oh, yeah, I have a ukulele. I'll be right back.
Okay. So, let's test your weird disease. What's that?
I think it's an E.
Well, let me at least give you a reference pitch. That's a G. I mean, it's a little flat, but it's a G. So this is basically your reference pitch, G.
Okay. Is that an A?
Yes, that's an A.
You're scary. No, it's weird because when I take sight singing ear training, I'm really good at the melody part. I'm just really bad at the rhythm part.
That would make sense. Okay. So,
It's an E.
E?
E.
Yes.
Okay. I'm scared.
Oh, I mean, it should be. So the way perfect pitch, for people who don't know it works. I mean, you probably explain it better than I can. But it's like if you see the color blue, you just know it's blue.
Yeah.
Right. Like you hear an A, you just know it's A. Like,
Yeah, I
no.
actually got a perfect pitch test by my boss because I'm working at Musical Living Academy, and I teach pre-K piano. And then I was telling him in my interview, I was like, oh, yeah, like I have perfect pitch. And he's like, can I do a perfect pitch test? He did the exact same thing that you did right now. But instead of ukulele, he used a piano. And he's like, what pitch is this? And I was like, I don't know what it is, but I know it's a black key. I was like, he's like, okay. Because I'm really bad at black keys and like flats and sharps. But I know what they are, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I know it's a flat and sharp. But I really hate minor keys. You know anything about me? I really hate minor keys. Unless it's like the Harry Potter theme song. I like that. But other than that, most things, I like a major. Because it makes me feel happy because music does something to me, especially. And if it sounds happy, it makes me feel a certain way. And then if it sounds like dark and brooding, it's going to make me feel a separate way, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I really love music.
So you relate a lot to music, like you're emotionally connected with what you're singing, or
Yes. You'll never hear me listening to a sad song if I'm not sad. That's usually how anyone who knows me can tell what emotion I'm going through. And my friends that don't know that, they'll just play random music in their car and it's a sad song. And I'm just like, why are you making me feel this way? And they're like, oh, I like the tune. I'm like, no, that's not how this works. Like, you don't hear the lyrics. You don't hear how it feels. Like, you know.
So what were you listening to after the show?
A lot of sad music. I think Siri knew. Because afterwards I was hearing like Alone Again Naturally by something Sullivan. I keep forgetting his first name. You know that song?
Yeah, but is that a sad song?
It is a sad song. Like Alone Again Naturally.
Okay.
It kind of sounds a little happy, but
Yeah, it
it's like
sounds
on the sad side. He talked about like how when his mom died. His dad died, and then his mom was like super sad over his dad, and then she died. And I mean that's sad, right?
Yeah, that's pretty sad. But that's when I listen to music, just because I do so much and I played with a group in Austin for so many years. It's funny, there's people that aren't like musically trained or don't study music or anything, and then they'll be able to recite so many lyrics to you, so many things, and I could listen to a song a million times and not tell you the lyrics at all, because I don't really listen to lyrics. I listen to harmonies and chord progressions.
Okay.
And just the overall just tone of the song, the mood of
Honestly,
it.
if you want to pass any of my classes, you need that. And that's what I need. Because I told my teacher, and I was like, I think you need an internal rhythm, but I don't think I have that. That's what I told her. And then she's like, oh, it's something that you develop, because not everybody has my problems, but some people do that are in music already. And like you said, like some people have it naturally and some people don't. And I'm just one of those people that really enjoy lyrics. And so I can memorize lyrics. It's not the problem. The problem is when I'm forced to. That's not a choice. You know what I mean? Why I think it's easy for me to like listen to something in another language and be able to like regurgitate it. It's because I like that song, you know? But when it comes to like a song that I don't like, that I'm forced to learn, it becomes a lot harder. Especially if I'm forced to do it alone, because then I don't really have like a will to. So then I'll put it off, and then I'll listen to it like once, and then I'll listen to the songs I actually want to listen to.
Yeah.
And then I end up listening to it once later on, but it won't be internalized as much as the other ones, because I listen to the other ones more because I like the other songs more. Because I really have to enjoy a song to be able to listen to all the way through and everything. Sometimes I listen to, I know I'm really judgmental, but sometimes I listen to a song and I'm just like, oh, this is trash. I can't. Like, I get the tune is really nice, but the lyrics and everything is just not that great. And I'm just like, I can't listen to this anymore.
Have you ever written your own songs?
when I was like 12.
Still haven't written them down somewhere.
Actually, I lost those because when I moved from my old house in Harlingen, a lot of my stuff was in that house, and I guess it either got thrown away or put somewhere else or something like that. But I remember writing weird songs like about stars and about like, what else did I write about? Like just inanimate objects and like feelings and stuff like that, and just like it was really bad. Like I've never been like this big rhythm type of girl, so it's just like trying to figure out what rhythm I'm gonna sing this in, because it sounded good in my head, right? But then I'll forget what I originally wanted to do with it, and then after that I'm just like, what was it again? Like I had to like record it somewhere to be able to remember what I did.
I sang a original song.
You did?
At Acoustic Night.
Oh, that's super cool. Wait, can I hear it?
Right now?
Yeah, go.
Guitar.
Or you can use my uke.
What are the chords for this?
Is that a mariachi song?
So it kind of, I mean, it's the style is called Huapango Huasteco.
Oh, okay.
And it's been adopted by mariachi. So you know, like the song Malagueña.
I don't know mariachi music, not really. The only one that I know is Adios Amor.
That is
I love the song.
barely mariachi, but yeah.
That's exactly right. I mean, barely mariachi, and I know barely rock too.
Yeah, so it's this style Huapango Huasteco is a style that it's falsetto, so there's a lot of falsetto in it.
So does that mean you can do like high?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Can you just sing it a cappella? Or do you need like the chords?
Bajo la luna sola, estoy muy triste sin tu querer. Busco tu cariño me vuelve loco por ti, mujer. ¿Cuántos años pasaron de verte lejos a ti, mujer? Siento conquistado, adorado de tu mirada, mujer. Te vas, me voy. Y así qué triste estoy.
Wow, that was really good. I like listening to mariachi, like when you go into those bars and everything and you hear them just belting. And I'm just like, wow, like I want to be one.
I was able to sing a mariachi song the week after that, because it was something you're proud to be or something, and I sang Viva Mexico.
Wow.
So
I really like it. I really like it. It's very creative.
Yeah, it was. I wrote it back in June.
Were you in like a emotional state of mind or something?
So every song I've written is, I mean, I feel most songs, or at least mariachi songs, it's a story.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, basically every song I've written is kind of true. story,
Oh,
basically, in a
okay.
way. So it's either about somebody or something that happened, however I'm feeling. So yeah, that song was written about somebody.
You know what I think you should do? I think you should package that song and you should sell it to like a telenovela or something. Because that would be such a good intro. Why lie?
Yeah. Nah, I mean, I've written, completely 6 songs.
Wow. Have you told anyone or went to a record label or something?
No, I have recorded,
Demo?
gets 2 of them. Yeah. I didn't like how the one came out though, because the person that was basically the sound engineer didn't
Mhm.
know mariachi or
Oh,
really
okay.
Spanish music, because that one was honestly wasn't mariachi, but it was just Spanish music, and the master track just didn't really come out very well. So I want to re-record it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But definitely re-record it and see if you can get it in any of the telenovelas because I think they could really use your expertise.
Yeah, and this style of music, it's not really like there's not new songs being made in that style. All the new style is more like Adios Amor, right? Cristiano Dal stuff.
I mean, it's such a good song, though.
It
It makes me
is.
cry.
I mean, yeah, you gotta evolve, and that's something mariachis over the years have basically accepted. You know
Yeah.
that's new. That's what's in, and you got to keep making money. So we sing it, we play it.
You know what? But looking back, we still go back to like the 80s. I mean, what do you call the 80s bar? And like the 70s, the 40s. Like we still know those songs and some of us still sing those songs. So if anything, I think you should still keep that part of music alive. You
Yeah.
know? I mean, like mix it a little. Like play some new stuff and play some old stuff. I once sang to this lady in Mexico, and I sang Te Quiero Dijiste, and it's a really old song by Maria Grever. And she's like, I haven't heard that song in so long. She cried. And I was just like, wow, I mean, I never thought that I would make a difference just by singing a song that someone knew. I didn't even know before that. I mean, I did know the song because that was like, it was a sentimental song for my family. But learning it in school was so much different. Like, I got to hear the entire song rather than the part that I remember that my mom would sing to me, and her mom sang to her, and her mom sang to her. So it's like 3 generations worth, you know? So it's such a big thing to just go back to your roots and keep it alive, you know? Like just I would encourage you to definitely keep that part of yourself alive because I mean it's a part of you, you know? Because if you still love that kind of style, that kind of music, don't let it die, you know? Just because like people like different things and yeah, but there are people that will appreciate that. You know, there are people that appreciate old music and old styles of music. And yeah, maybe like I said, you can like mix it with the new ones so that that's what everyone's playing. But then don't you think that people are kind of tired of the same things that everyone plays? Like you go into a bar and then they play the same things.
It's Bad Bunny.
Yeah, Bad Bunny, all that stuff, right? They play a lot of the same music, and everyone's like, oh, I vibe with this because I've heard this like 10 times in my car, you know? But then you go to another bar, same thing. It's like the same music, dude. Like, mix it up. Like, give us something older. And then you go into, like, the 80s bar. They're bringing back the oldies. I have never heard, what was that one? You're the One That I Want?
Oh, you're from Greece?
From Greece, yeah. I've never heard that one being played in a bar. But then I went to the 80s bar, and they played that one. Everyone was jamming to it, you know? Because, I mean, you appreciate things when you don't hear them every single time you go into a bar. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, just always play what you want to play, and your passion will show. And I think people will be able to appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah, it's very important to, or whatever you do, if you're passionate and if you care, things will work out.
Mm-hmm. And maybe your music isn't for everybody, but for the people that matters, it will be, you know? Like the people that vibe with you, because you don't vibe with everyone. You don't have to cater to everyone, you know?
Yeah.
just to
That's
yourself,
why
really.
you should really work on those songs you wrote when you were 12 years old about the stars and
The stars and the
the
inanimate objects.
the chair that was crying or something.
The chair I was crying. No, for real though. Like I was such an interesting kid.
Did you talk to yourself as a kid?
Yeah.
Do you have imaginary friends?
Weird. Yes.
You did.
Okay, so my earliest imaginary friends were Steak Man and Frog Marcy. It's so weird, right? And the only way that I knew about them is because my dad told me, because I would talk his ear off about it. Then after that, I had Kiki. I had Kiki and Marco, right? And they were always against each other. And this is so weird looking back. And my little brain is, okay, so Kiki has these like Hawaiian girls. And so he's like a hula dancer. And then he loves coffee. And then there's Marco and he liked peanut butter, I think. Then I would just amuse myself and my brother and my sister and walk around the kitchen and just do my little hula dance. Like, I'm Kiki.
You're a wild kid. So you're a fun kid.
Oh, yeah. I had a lot of fun times. I had different games with my brother and my sister. When I grew up, my brother was like my best friend. We were the closest in age, and then my sister comes along like years later. And then I would play more with her. My brother did kind of his own thing because he was older by that time. And, well, I'm the oldest, right? My brother's like a year younger than me. Yeah. He's a year younger than me. And then my sister's 6 years younger than me. I know she's 16 right now. Okay, something's not right there. 7 years. 7 years.
She's 7 years younger than you?
Yeah, 7 years younger than me. And growing up for my first years, I remember I would play with my brother. We'd play this card game where we'd get this box, and it has all my brother's Hot Wheel cards, and sometimes I would get some too. And so we'd all put all the cards in the box, and then we kind of like disperse them amongst us and like, okay, this is a girl cards and those are the boy cards. And then we'd like make some little weird story or whatever. And then we had just a bunch of little figurines that we would just like play with. And then we'd play store and we'd make our parents buy stuff with pennies. Because to us, we thought pennies were like a big currency.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, the love of being a kid, you know, when you realize that money exists and you see your parents paying with it and everything. I didn't even know what a card was, or a credit card or debit card. I just knew what like pennies were. And I was like, oh, that's a lot of money, like 10 pennies. That's a lot.
You know what credit cards are now?
Yeah.
Do you have?
I grew up since then.
Do you have credit cards?
I have one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Always maxed out.
Huh?
Always maxed out.
No, actually. No, I keep that on track.
Because you took that financial responsibility course.
Personal
finance course in your homeschool class.
Yeah, well, the reason, okay, at first it maxed, but it's because I was in England, right? And I didn't expect to have so many costs for the currency exchange and all that. And then when I got back, I was on top of it. I was like, you know, I'm not going to let this go to waste, and I'm just going to keep paying. So I pay it every month. But yeah, no. Going back to my other thing, my sister and I played this game called Nina, and she was a younger sister. And we just had a lot of fun. Like, we always thought of things to do. Like, we used to have this big backyard, and we would invite all the neighbor kids to come over, and we'd have a little concert with my cousin. She comes down from Wisconsin, like, every summer at the time. And then there was this one time, I don't remember if we made the kids pay for it to get in, because we're like, oh, welcome to our carnival, right? Because we wanted to, like, make it look like a carnival, like, where there's games and stuff like that. But it was all our imagination. Just looking back, it was all our imagination, and there was, like, hardly anything. It's just so much fun. Like, we had such a cool childhood.
You still have that same active imagination now?
Yes. Yes. I always keep that alive. I still enjoy, like, whenever I feel sad, I'll watch Charlie Brown or Winnie the Pooh, even though I get really annoyed with Pooh Bear now. Because I'm like, man, you're kind of dumb.
Well, you're gonna see the new horror version of Winnie the Pooh.
I don't think so.
You gotta see it.
Maybe.
You gotta see it.
I'll think about it. But then it's going to ruin my childhood. Because, like, no, Pooh Bear, you've gone down a really dark path.
Did you see Christopher Robin, the movie?
Yes, I did. It was such a cute movie. But at the same time, it's still not like the original. You know what I mean? Like the cartoon and everything. Like, you always think of him as a kid. You would never think of him as an adult. And growing up, I remember we used to go to this place called Hollywood Videos. And used to, like, walk around looking at all the different Winnie the Pooh movies, looking at the backs. And it's just not the same way nowadays. It's just like you can stream them and everything like that. And so it was just so different. The times were so different back then. And it's just, and maybe that's a good thing that things have changed. But there's always just experiences that I miss that you can't really get back, you know?
Yeah, 'cause it's important to have a childhood. Do you still have imaginary friends?
No. No, I grew out of that. I haven't actually thought about Kiki or Marco or Frog Marcy Man and Steak ever since. Oh, and there's Granny, Grandpa, and Monkey. It's weird. They were in the shower. You know, the tiles, like between the tiles, when sometimes, like, you look up in the sky and you think, oh, that cloud looks like a washing machine or whatever. I looked at the tiles. I'm like, that one looks like a grandma, that one looks like a grandpa, and that one looks like a monkey. And so let's play.
So we could also spend like super long in the shower or something.
Not super long, no. But after my shower, I'd be like, hey, like, this is really cool.
Man, you sound like you would be the really fun friend. And
yeah, very colorful. Yeah. I would be that one friend that annoyed everyone, like, hey, like, super outgoing or whatever, even when I didn't need to be. But at that time, I didn't really understand jokes as well. And I think I owe that to my homeschooling upbringing, because many times you don't really get exposed to, like, meanness and stuff like that. I mean, although I did have this one girl that I didn't really get along with at the end, other than that, I wasn't really exposed to much. So going to school, I had, like, this weird perception of how everyone was. I'm like, man, everyone's so nice here, just like the homeschooling group. Like, I don't know what they were saying, that everyone's mean. And then just to turn out that I had two bullies. And they're both on my basketball team. And my dad, he found out about them. And then he asked one of his students to, like, watch over me just to make sure I was good. And she was also on my same basketball team. I didn't even know that till later on. And it was kind of funny because those two bullies ended up fighting each other. So it's like, I never did anything about it, because, I mean, I would always just cry about it because I didn't know what to do. I mean, what are you supposed to do? Those are just things I haven't handled, just like this whole RGV's Got Talent thing. Mm-hmm. And so it was like new emotions. Like, those are only things you would see in, like, in Mean Girls on TV, stuff like that, you know, High School Musical. Yeah. Like, in real life, it's just so much harder to handle. when you're in the spotlight and you're like, hey, like, we don't like you, like, go away, that sort of thing. Yeah, but I've always believed in kindness. Mm-hmm. So one of the bullies afterwards, I remember I had her for another class, and I went up to her, and she was just a sour person. And it wasn't, I mean, she did target me because I was really weak at the time. But what do you call someone that comes out of homeschooling, right? I wouldn't say that we're weak. It's just like we haven't been exposed to the same things as everyone else. And I went up to her, and I was really nice to her. I wanted to be her friend. and she wasn't used to that sort of sentiment from anybody, really. And so we became friends, and I haven't seen her, like, since then, since after we took the class, but I feel like it ended on a good note, that sort of thing.
Well, that's Facebook or anything.
Oh, no, we're not Facebook friends.
Oh,
Back then, those are the Kick days.
Oh, the Kick. Man, what year was this? Oh, the Kick was Kick was a thing. Yeah, you're old enough for Kick.
Kick, yeah.
Yeah,
It's like, I'll kick you later. And then somebody heard you in the hall and like, kick? Like, you're going to kick that person? Like, what?
Yeah. So I talk to my niece sometimes. She's 19. There's a big gap.
Oh, yeah. She doesn't know what that is, right?
No, she's not going to know what Kick
is. Just died. What happened?
Facebook didn't buy it.
Oh, okay. Did Facebook buy Snapchat?
No, but they bought WhatsApp.
Oh, that makes sense because like Facebook with WhatsApp or whatever, like I think you can log in with your WhatsApp if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Or you can log in, or it's the other way around, like you can log into WhatsApp with Facebook.
Yeah.
Something like that.
How big of a High School Musical fan are you?
High School Musical? It's funny because right when I got into public school and everyone found out that I was homeschooled, they're like, oh, it's no High School Musical. And by that time, I was so sheltered, I didn't even know what High School Musical was. Not until later on when I finally looked at the movie and everything, and I was like, oh, that's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So the joke was understood later on. But I was like, what?
Did it feel weird when you moved, like, over here, away on your own?
Yeah, it did feel weird. Oh, I actually didn't tell you this, but my senior year, the reason why I ended up being homeschooled, I mean, I was tired of school because going back, I thought I had a lot of friends, but then turns out they were mostly fake. And so I was like, you know what, I want to be homeschooled again. And then when I was 18, I just turned 18, I moved to San Antonio for 3 months. That was in February. And then I came back in May. And over there, I was doing my homework, and I was working my first job. I mean, that's how sheltered I was. I didn't get my first job until I was 18. And then I was helping my cousin pay, and I decided, you know what, I can't focus on work and school. So I ended up quitting my job, and then I went back to the Valley. And then I lived with my mom for a time, and there's just, I guess, too many problems there. And then I moved in with a friend, and they're the ones that convinced me to go to college and everything after I'm done. Mm-hmm. And so then that's when I decided to go to college. So I went to STC and Wesco because, I mean, that was the closest one because I was staying with them in Mercedes. And so at first, yeah, it felt weird. But now nothing feels like home. Because when my mom moved out of our old house and everything, nowhere that she went ever felt like home like that. Because I spent so many years in that house. And so I still have dreams about it. Like it feels so far away. You know, now we have one of our friends living in there, and it just feels so weird. And I mean, how do you really go through that and not have resentment towards them, even though they're not the people I should feel resentment towards? Because that house just has so much history. And imagine just being stuck to a house, you know. That's the only house that feels like home. I feel like if my parents moved around a lot when I was younger, that I wouldn't feel this way. That'd be like, oh, okay, this place is home, that place is home. I can, like, easily move on. You know, but since I was, like, stuck in the same area just for so many years, it was just so hard to move on from that. But when I first moved here, I was ecstatic, but it took me some time to really adjust to the move. Understand that, oh, this is my room. I'm actually living here. Yay, you know? Like, I'm actually kind of on my own. Mm-hmm. That sort of idea.
Yeah, it's weird when I moved right after 18. I left Texas State. I lived in the dorms for the first year, but then I just moved in Austin in different areas. But yeah, I moved around a lot too. In high school, I lived in 5 different houses,
Wow.
4 years.
So you were adjusted to change already. It's like maybe the first move was kind of hard, but then second, third, fourth, fifth, or however many more just becomes easier and easier because you get less and less attached to the places that you go.
Yeah, it was just it's annoying. Moving sucks.
It does suck. Yeah, it's such a process.
It is your stuff, and then you always gotta throw away things, and then you buy new things, and then you
sell
throw them
things. It's like everything has sentimental value because like
that paper clip that was been there for 3 years.
I love the paper clip. Don't throw it away.
His name is something. Do you want to sing a song?
Sure.
Okay, what do you want to sing?
Well, what language?
Did you know Japanese?
Yes, I do.
Do you watch anime?
I do.
Well, which ones?
Man, let me get a list for you.
Just shorten the list.
Romeo x Juliet, Kai Chawa Maid-sama. My first one's actually what was it called? It was the one with Kirito. You know which one?
I don't think
Oh,
so.
Sword Art Online. Sword Art Online. That was my first one. And my favorite's actually Steins Gate. It's about time travel. I can get you into a whole conversation about time travel because I have my own theories about that.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
probably
that would be another podcast.
Yeah, another time. But let me see. I just watched so many. Fushigi Yugi. I've watched Mermaid Melody. The World Only God Knows. Let me see. I watched so many, but like the names just kind of like escape me. If I'm looking at a list, I'm just like, Hanasakura Seisonen. That's another one. A lot of them are Japanese names too. I forgot one Japanese one that was prominent in my life. Actually, it influenced a lot of my first decisions when it came to college. And I know this is weird, but Itazura na Kiss. Do you know that one? It's about this girl that she wasn't that smart, but she fell in love with this guy that's super smart, and he wanted to be a doctor and she wanted to be a nurse. And then that's what inspired me to be, I want to be a nurse, that sort of thing, you know? And it's the only anime that I've ever seen that goes past the idea of like high school and dating. And because like they get married and everything. Spoiler alert. But it's super.
It's more than 6 episodes?
Oh, yeah, more than 6 episodes for sure. Like 50, I think.
Wow, that's long.
But.
So you're in love with a guy who became a doctor?
No, it just inspired the idea of being a nurse. That's what inspired. And I was like, you know what? If she can do it and she's not that bright, I can do it. That's what I thought.
If this fictional Japanese character in anime can do it.
Exactly. Pretty much. Yeah, no. I was very like easily influenced, I guess, when I was 18. I was like, ooh, I want to try that.
But yeah, I get it. What inspires me to work out is honestly Naruto.
If he can be muscular, so can I.
No, it's honestly, have you seen Naruto? I mean, like.
I've heard of Naruto.
Oh my God, what are you talking about?
I've heard of Naruto.
You've never seen any episode.
There's so many episodes, dude.
Well,
like,
yeah,
seriously.
that's why you should have started 20 years ago. No, this is a character, Rock Lee. Right. Mm-hmm. And his whole thing is in his team, there's a guy named Neji. And Neji is like a really gifted just fighter and just talented. He comes from a really powerful clan, a family.
Mm-hmm.
And
you're Neji.
No. Oh. Well, maybe. But
maybe.
But no, is the whole
Halloween
thing
ideas.
Halloween ideas.
Halloween
ideas. He has like white eyes basically because that's part of his clan.
Are you saying you can't wear contacts?
I've never worn contacts.
Really? Same.
Yeah. Do you wear glasses?
No. 20/20 vision.
Because Rock Lee is very not gifted, right? He can't do what they call ninjutsu in the show, so he can't use like special attacks, right? Anything externally from his body. All he can do is taijutsu, which is basically Muay Thai. And even then, he wasn't very good. Neji was still better at him, even though he didn't train. So Rock Lee will literally train until like he falls of exhaustion, and he breaks his arm or something from training.
Oh no.
And it's just more of that determination, that motivation of always wanting to be better, even though everybody says you suck. Like, you're not going to beat a gifted, talented genius. And he doesn't care. He keeps training and fighting.
So that's your idea, like you're going to keep training and fighting?
Yeah.
Wow. That is really good, actually. For me, it was seeing when the main character from Itazura Nakis, when she finally became a nurse and she's like, I actually did it. And that's what really inspired me. I was like, wow, like so passionate. And like they were singing, I think they were singing the Nurse's Pledge. And wait, I don't think they were singing, actually. I think they were just saying the Nurse's Pledge, and that really inspired me. Because that was an actual pledge that my mom had to do when she became a nurse as well. Like the pledge to be, to save lives and everything. And so that really inspired me. Like just watching that whole thing. And they actually made it into live action. And I thought that was super cool too. So I watched that one actually later on. Because I actually didn't know that they had made a live action. Because I watched the anime first. But of course it's like the same thing. Right? The same story. Most of the same experiences. But it's really cool looking at that. Because it felt more real than like other animes where they're like, oh, like I have really cool powers, you know, or I have really good sword skills. I mean, like I can't really picture myself with like sword skills like them, you know, or like being able to eat a whole thing in one gulp or whatever. That sort of idea, you know, where it's like less than life, but actually seeing an anime that it's more real life. It's just like an eye opener. It's like, oh, this is really cool. Like I can actually do this, you know? If I really kept at it, I could have been a nurse. And it just shows me that any possibility can happen, you know? You just have to decide what you want to do in life, really. So, did you want to hear me sing a Japanese song?
Yeah, you're getting sidetracked. What do you want to do?
I can do it with my phone.
Oh, okay. Because I can hold the mic.
Here we go. Let's do this. Can you hear it? Okay. Ready? 何色の風に吹かれて遠い岬を目指してた夜明け前聞こえてメロディーそれはとても懐かしい歌東の空へと羽ばたく光たちさあ宝島に抜ける近道7つの楽園嵐の夜の後には愛を伝えるため命がまた生まれる7つの国のメロディア誰るんがいつかはここを旅はつり上げても私は忘れないゆっくりと雲は考えて虹の旗に消えていた 星たちは真珠のように強い光放ち始める南の空から聞こえる口笛そう大人になる時が来たいた奇跡をめぐる冒険優しい母の願いを胸に抱きながら誰もが旅をしてる星降る夜のファンタジア溢れる涙と祈り誰にもわからない未来を照らしてる7つの海の楽園あの日の夜の後には愛を伝えむかね命がまた生まれる7つの国のメロディア誰のがりつかはここをサピアトゥヒヤギても私は忘れない開きながら誰もが旅をしてる星降る夜のファンタジア溢れる涙と祈り誰にもわからんがり未来を照らしてる
That was very good.
Thank you.
Did you know what you were saying?
It's talking about being a mermaid in the sea. It's just talking in general. I mean, that's all I really know. Like talking about the big blue.
Sorry. Nope. That. There we go.
That's to remember your buttons.
I should be better at that.
I really appreciate that big crowd.
Oh, that's what I should have done earlier when you're thinking.
The crickets.
So we had a
Thank you, everybody.
whole audience.
Oh, you that are not here.
And Granny and Grandpa were there, and what was his name? They were in the shower.
What? Oh, Granny, Grandpa, and Monkey.
Monkey. Yeah, they were on the crowd too.
They're in the crowd too. In the shower.
And I wish you would have not been eliminated. So
Me too.
you could have. You'd done a lot more in the competition.
I think so too. I think that would have been so much fun to do different things. I don't think they would have gone as far as being like, oh, okay, you guys can do stuff in like a different language because not everyone can do that, you know. But
Yeah.
I felt like that's what made me and not someone else.
Mhm.
And actually, Japanese. It's funny you say Japanese because that's not my favorite language to sing in. And funny enough, my favorite language is Korean to sing in. I love singing Korean, and sometimes.
So you have a BTS shirt on.
Oh yeah, yeah, I have a BTS shirt on. But it's crazy because I'm not crazy for any of the Korean.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say I'm not Korean. I was like, okay.
No, I'm not crazy for any of those Korean people. I like them, right? I
Mhm.
like their music. But you know, like even if you have a favorite band, doesn't mean that you like every single one of their music.
Yeah.
Even when I go to, I know I said Cano Gonzalez earlier when I meant to say Cano Freshman Academy, but it's because Cano Gonzalez Elementary is where I work, and so I constantly get them confused.
Mhm.
And whenever I go there, I always wear my lanyard for my car, and it has Blackpink on it. And all the kids are like, "You like Blackpink?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, I like Blackpink." But I do like them, right? But I'm not crazy for them, but I really like Lisa. I think she's really cool.
Yeah, that's. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, she's Korean. She's from a Korean band.
My little sister, she's, how old is she now? She's born 2013, so what's that? 9. She was super into BTS, and then suddenly she's like, I don't like BTS.
I know. One of my friends was like that. She was like crazy about them learning their dances and everything. And then all of a sudden I hear, "Oh yeah, I'm not into them anymore. There's too much drama." I was like, okay, you live for drama. I guess not that kind of drama. But no, I listened to BTS, and it's been one of my dreams to actually sing with them, because then I learned all their parts for this one song, even the rapping parts. And I was like, I don't know how that happened. It's just like, you know, when you're in your car and you're listening to your jams, no one else is there, so you don't have to cater to anyone. You just sing whatever you want, right? And I was listening to Love Myself or Love Yourself. I always get that confused too. And it has like a bunch of different parts, and it'll start with where he's saying that he was struggling with loving himself or whatever. I mean, it's all Korean, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's this English part that comes on, and then after that they have some rapping, and I was just like, ooh, I'm gonna try that because I'm by myself and I can do it, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then I was like, yeah, I got it. I mean, of course it took so much time because obviously I don't know Korean, right? But I had to.
Rapping requires a lot of rhythm.
Yes. A lot. It does. It really does. And I like that their rhythm is just so much different than like the regular rappers, you know, because each rapper has his own rhythm, has his own beat and everything. You know, like you look at Snoop Dogg, you look at Drake, and all of them have their different, I mean, Eminem too. Mm-hmm. All of them have their different like rhythms. And then you look at Korean, and it's kind of like in line with what the melody would be. So they don't like supercharge that area, you know? They don't make it like super, super fast. I mean, it is fast, right, because it's rapping, but it's not over the top. But they do get their point across. I like that. You know, like I like kind of like Stereo Hearts. You know that song? From who? Gym Class Heroes. Stereo Hearts. It's an old song. So. It's like, my heart's a stereo, beats for you, so listen close. You don't know that one?
I don't think so.
I like that rhythm that they had for the rapping part. And I was like, oh, that's like it's a slower rhythm.
Oh, I know what song you're talking about. Yeah, it just came to me.
Yeah. It just came to you. You're falling asleep.
Yeah, I'm having trouble seeing.
Can you still see me?
You're
getting blurry.
Around the edges. Does it feel like 2 hours?
No, it doesn't feel like 2 hours. I mean, because I'm usually talking like this with my friends, so it's usually about like another topic.
So you can talk a lot.
I can talk a lot, yeah. But it's because I used to do that when I was little. No. I would like narrate things, just pretend I'm these characters, whatever. And it gives you like a fun life, you know? Yeah. Like, because if everything's just boring and everything, then what are you living for? You're not actually living, you know? That's what I've always thought. Like, when people say, I'm over the top or extra or whatever they want to say, then I just feel like I'm myself. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to be like anyone else.
Yeah. You always have to be who you are, or else you'll probably be unhappy.
Oh, yeah,
trying to be somebody else. So is there anything, I guess you want to say to close out, or anything with music, I guess, related, or do you still plan on continuing having music in your life some way?
I do. There are so many times where I just wanted to kind of cut it out of my life and just be like, you know what, like, this is it. I can't do this anymore. I mean, there are so many times I told myself that first week where it's just like the initial shock, I guess. But I started singing after a few days that I said that. I was like, you know what? I'm going to punish the world and make sure that they never hear me sing again. And then I end up at a club drunk and singing my heart out.
4 days later.
Yeah, like 4 days later or something. Wait, how'd you know? Were you there?
I might have heard. No.
One of the guys was there. The guy with the long hair, beard.
Andre?
I think that's him.
The one that sings Super High?
Yes.
The one that sang The Lion King?
Did I hear that?
Oh, he can't just wait to be king. Oh, the one that sings I just can't wait to be king.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't hear that.
You didn't hear him sing it? He sounded
I mean, but he's
exactly
got
like
a mane, though.
Yeah, it worked really well for him. But yeah, probably, I guess, Andre.
Yeah.
He was there?
Yeah, he was there.
He
And
went
he
up
was
to you?
like, yeah, like, I can't believe you were eliminated. That's what he said to me. I'm like, I know, right? Not because I was drunk. I was like, but yeah, no, music will always be a part of my life. Sober, maybe I would have said, you know what, that's it, I'm done. But then when I realized, because one of my friends took a video that my friend that went with me that time when we were doing karaoke took a video of me singing, and I was like, you know what, I was looking back at it later because I didn't know she did that. And then I was like, you know what, music will always be a part of me. I can't separate from it. I can take a break, but I don't think I'll ever be able to separate myself from music, because music is just always will be a part of me. And only, I would say, my style of music, what I actually enjoy doing, because I can't just I can't give it up. I thought I could. And I was actually thinking about quitting choir afterwards. I was thinking all these like worst case scenario thoughts, you know, like, oh, I'm just gonna do this, I'm gonna give up music, I'm gonna wipe the minor from my degree plan, I'm just gonna, I had all those thoughts afterwards. But I would say, just if it's a part of you, it'll never leave you, you know. So I would really close with that, always be true to yourself, because that's who I am. It's not just music. It's a part of me, you know? So I'll never be able to really fully run from that, much less run from my family, you know what I mean? Because, your family is a part of you, you know? They're blood. But, I mean, bad comparison, right? But but it's it's a part of you. You can never, just wipe it from your life. Even if I was to just get away from it and wipe it from my degree plan and just quit choir and all that, it would still follow me some way or another, because I'll still listen to music. And then when I listen to music, I'm like, man, I want to sing. I'm always that person that just likes to sing, you know? So, yeah, that's how I'd close, really.
Well, no, that's great. I think you're a really great singer. I mean, unique artist, very talented, and yeah, you should never quit. Everything happens when it's supposed to. Right?
Yeah.
And, you know, who knows? Whatever. Maybe you'll be a famous singer someday.
Maybe. Well, you never know. Anything can happen. Literally anything can happen. You just have to find that right opportunity, the right window. Because you can't be like, okay, yeah, that's it. I had my shot. Mm-hmm. Because as long as you're living, you have a chance to go after whatever you want. Literally whatever. And so always keep your imagination alive. Always keep your imagination alive, and always be true to yourself, because if you're not true to yourself, you don't keep your imagination alive, you're going to live a very dull, dead life. You'll be leaving, you won't be leaving your mark, and you'll be living as though you're dead. So then what's the difference, you know? I know they say you only live once, but then when you really think about it, you only die once, you know? So you need to live while you are living.
And this was Alexa Desiree Courtney Alvarez. The first.
The first.
The one and only. Right.
One and only, yeah.
Nobody else.
Not to be Not to be confused with the Alexa Echo Dot. Very separate.
Yeah, I get that nickname too sometimes when somebody tries to call me a girl name or something. Even though Alexis is already a girl, they'll be like, Alexa, like, what's up?
Oh my God, no way. You respond to that?
Sometimes. But, well, yeah, and, man, I wish I would have had my camera set up. It would have been nice to get this on video. But, I mean, it's been great. A good episode. This is a good first episode to start off this series. And, I mean, yeah, I would love to have you again.
Yeah, it'd be really cool.
I feel like there's a lot of things that you can talk about.
A lot of things. I will talk your ear off. I'll sing you to sleep. I'll talk you to sleep.
Like, I could be knocked out right here and you'll still be talking on that mic. Right?
Yep, I'll still be talking to myself. No, literally, I have a friend, she calls me, and she's like, I can't sleep. And I'm like, okay, I'll sing to you. I'll talk to you. And she's like, okay, keep doing that. And then I hear her snoring, and I'm like, yeah, she's asleep. I think I should hang up now.
She calls you back. Why'd you hang up?
I was listening to you talk. I don't know what you were saying, but I knew you were talking. Oh, trust me, she never calls back.
But okay, so this has been episode 1 of whatever the name of the series is going to be. I'll come up with it before this episode comes out.
You know what? I love that. I love that because usually when I'm making a paper, I'm the opposite. I make the title first, and I'm like, what am I going to do with the rest? It's like, that's such a good title.
Yeah, no, I usually do the title or whatever at the end. I get inspired from, I guess, whatever the show is about to write the title. But yeah, this is the end, probably, I guess. I'll play this for a couple seconds.